Alright guys, this is Elmaster here, and I am going to be talking today about how to improve quickly at Brood War. And this opinion is admittedly one structured and designed for those that are really looking to improve and quickly pick up their game, rather than if you're just looking to kind of have fun. This might not be the way to go, but if you want to get better faster and really be able to appreciate the strategy of the game and get into enjoying the game, this is a great way to go. So this is sort of a three-part drill, you could say. So this is phase one that I'm showing you here, and what you're going to do is you're going to play games without the computer. So you'll just make a game, and then when the countdown is going, you just close the slot so there's no computer. And I'm just going to make 3 nexuses here right away as soon as I have enough money. And what I want to do is I want to make probes constantly all the time. So I just want to work on never missing probes. That's step one. The whole idea here is that Brood War has lots of strategy, right? Awesome, fantastic strategy game, all kinds of tactical things, all kinds of strategical things going on. But if your fundamentals, particularly your macro, are not strong, your strategy doesn't really matter. Your opponent can have, your opponent will just have a million times what you have, and you'll just get absolutely obliterated. You can be going for, like, let's say you can be a Protoss, you can be going for carriers, and your Zerg opponent will go for nothing but Zerglings. Obviously, you have a better strategy. He's got something that's air that's going to attack you. You don't have it. The Zerg doesn't have anything that shoots up. But if the Zerg is a 1600 MMR player and the Protoss is 1100, the Protoss is going to lose every single time. Why? Because even though that strategy is better, the Protoss is going to have 3 or 4 carriers, while the Zerg has 200 supply of Zerglings, and the Protoss is just going to get overrun before their carriers can do anything. So this is why basic fundamentals are so important, and it's really easy to test against yourself, and you'll see that in this video. But you can take a look at how many units you have at, say, 11 or 12 minutes, and take a look at what a good player has, and it's easy to understand. So what I'm doing here is I'm just making probes constantly from these 3 nexuses. That's phase one. You don't think about anything else. Just get the probes down. Use your hotkeys. If you're Protoss, a common scheme is 0, 9, and 8 for your nexuses. So if you want to make probes, you just go 0p, 9p, 8p every time. Get those pylons making so you're not getting supply blocked, and then look at the replay. Do it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, and look at the replay and see how much you can do it with your nexuses never stopping flashing. When you can do this easily for 10 minutes with your nexuses not always flashing, then you're ready to move on to phase 2. But for phase 1, just get the probe production habitual. This doesn't take long. Honestly, you can do this in a week or less if you just do 5 games like this every day. That's less than an hour a day, and this can be starting to get pretty automatic. So that will make your worker production good. If you're Zerg, use 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for hatcheries, 4 SD, 5 SD, 6 SD will make drones. And you'll just need to make some overlords in there. And Terrans, you can use 1, 2, 3, 1S, 2S, 3S, or you can use 0, 9, 8 also works, because a lot of people like their army 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can use 0S, 9S, 8S, make those SCVs. And that is phase 1. Now phase 2, this video here, this next part will contain phase 2 and phase 3. I'll show you what that looks like. But phase 2, we're going to add in actually making an army, and we're going to think about keeping our money low. Now, the important thing is we're not going to mess up phase 1. We're still going to make sure we always make workers all the time. All the time. Okay? So now we're going to add in, though, making our pylons, making gateways, not getting supply blocked, and seeing how quickly we can max out. What you're looking for here is to max out pretty quickly, definitely faster than 12 minutes. Somewhere better than 11:30 to 11 minutes is ideal. That means you're not really making any mistakes and you're hitting your probes. You will find that if your money gets high or you don't make probes, you're going to miss these targets. You won't be able to hit them. If you have periods where you're not making probes, it's going to be hard to max by 12 minutes, 12:30, maybe even 14 minutes, depending on how new you are and how much you're getting used to that. So this first part I'm doing is the phase where you don't worry about your army at all. So you're still playing no CPU, all that kind of stuff, and you're just going to make things. You're not even going to try to do anything at all with your army. Just make it and let it sit around. So just like in the last one, I'm going to make my second nexus and my third nexus quite quickly. Just that gets everything up and flowing, and it gives you the 3 nexuses to think about making probes, and then you're going to add your gateways later while you have money. And again, the whole idea here is unit count. If you aren't doing this, your opponent is just going to have way more stuff than you are. Go take a look. If you are a player that is less than, if you are F rank, if you are E rank, probably even if you're D rank, go find a replay that doesn't have too much going on and take a look at your supply at 12 minutes or at 13 minutes. Are you anywhere near 200? My guess is that the answer is going to be probably not. Most likely you're going to be at 100, 120, 130, some variety of that. You're looking for much closer to 200, which means if your opponent has 80 supply more than you, well, let's just think in PvP terms, 80 supply is 30 zealots, 40 zealots worth. So if your opponent has 30 zealots more than you, 15 zealots and 15 dragoons more than you, of course you're going to lose. Doesn't matter what you're doing. His army is going to be twice as big as you or more. So this is the part of the game that just has to be drilled down, and it has to be automatic. And the reason it has to be automatic is because you have to be able to do this stuff while you're also moving your army around as you get better. If you can't do that and you slip up every time something happens, then you're always going to be stuck in E, F, or D. That's something you'll see in common between all players at those ranks. They just do not make as much stuff as they should. And if you do it right, you will get to at least D, if not C, just doing this. So we're talking in a month, maybe less than that, maybe 2 weeks, you can go from being F rank to being high D, low C rank. So again, I'm just going to make immediately a Nexus. If you're doing this as a Terran, same thing, you can just make command centers fast. Zerg, you can make hatcheries fast. Zerg, you'll need to add more hatcheries. That's fine to do. It can work however you want. And so yeah, you're just going to see me getting tech. And again, this is the part I'm showing you where I'm just making pure army. I'm not moving it around yet, which is phase 3. We want to build up each phase in turn. We want to make it a habit to go 0p, 9p, 8p all the time, so that we're always making our probes, always making our workers, 4SD, 5SD, 6SD. Then once that's a habit, we add in making our army. We still don't want to mess up 0p, 8p, 9p, but we need to keep making army. We need to keep making the pylons. So you'll see that here as soon as I have money, I'm going to start adding some gateways and starting to make units. You can send a few probes to your expansion. That third expansion I'm about to make. And of course, the final phase then is going to be moving that army around. You got to be able to make it first, because honestly, it takes a little bit of practice getting used to always making units and keeping all this stuff going. And then after you get comfortable with that, then you got to be able to do it while moving your army around. Because let's say you get attacked. Well, you have to be able to fight a battle and make units while you're fighting that battle. If you can only do one of the two, it won't be enough. You have to be able to do both. So I start making units. I'm going to start getting money here pretty soon because now I've got a lot of probes. And I continue to get more probes. And that's the other reason why making probes is so important. If you keep making probes, you will mine minerals faster. Yes, if you have like 1 probe per patch, you mine kind of fast. If you have 2 probes per patch, you mine a little bit faster. If you have 3 probes per patch, you mine even faster still. And admittedly, once you get past 3 probes per patch, you don't actually mine that much faster. But it's still good to do, because if you get a 4th or a 5th base, then you can immediately transfer probes to that base and still have it be saturated. So these more probes, I'm getting more minerals per second, and the faster I get minerals, that means the more gateways or the more hatcheries or the more barracks or factories I can have making units at any one time, which means I'm making my army faster. And it also means I can remake my army faster. If I have 2 gateways and my opponent has 10, if we get in a fight, he can remake 10 units at a time. I can only remake 2. He's going to win the next fight, if it's unless I just kill him. So I'm adding those gateways. I'm just getting my army. I did change the rally points in my gateways. That's the only thing in phase 2 I would do, is change the rally points in your gateways, just so that you're or in your hatcheries or wherever, just so that everything doesn't get cluttered up. So just change it to your natural or a ramp or a choke or something like that. But I'm not even looking at my army. I'm just making those probes, making sure my Nexus never stops flashing. If you look at this replay, my Nexus, none of them will ever stop flashing. I'm adding more gateways when I have money. I want to keep my money low. That goes along with what I was talking about earlier about having enough stuff. If you have a 2,000 mineral bank and your opponent doesn't, and you guys have mined the same amount, well, let's say Protoss versus Protoss, for example. That means your opponent could have 20 more zealots than you. A 2k bank is pretty easy to get if you're not being careful and you have a good economy. Well, if your opponent has 20 more zealots than you, considering a normal army is about 50 units, their army is going to be 50% bigger. You can have a great strategy, but their army is just going to be way bigger than yours. So that is what we are working to avoid. And then here in a sec, I'm going to show you what phase 3 looks like. This is phase 2. Again, I make units. I just make sure my gateways make. I get those pylons down. I grab some of my tech just to make that a habit. And I keep making those probes. Nexuses, you can see I'm tabbing through my nexuses. The probes are always building. All my units are building from gateways. And then phase 3, we do everything we were doing before, but we also want to move our army around the map the whole time. It's almost like we're going to have to battle with it or use it. So as we move around, we'll still 0p, 9p, 8p to make those probes. We'll keep making out of our gateways as we have enough money. We'll keep making pylons, but we're also going to be constantly keeping that army moving around the map just like you would in a real game, as if you were fighting those battles. Getting out some tech, we're kind of creating an army that looks like a PvT, a Protoss versus Terran matchup. So mostly Dragoon and Zealot, adding maybe a few Arbiters, a few Templar. And keeping those probes going. Again, you don't want to queue too much. Having one probe at a time queued is fine. 3-4 probes queued, bad idea. That's just fake minerals that are tied up. They're not actually being spent. It just sort of ties them up. So now here we go into phase 3. Now, normally I wouldn't do this. I would play, 10, 20, 30 games just doing your army getting to 200, 200. Then when you get really good at that, then you can add in this last phase here. And I do everything the same, but now I also move my army around the map all the time. So I'm attacking with these Dragoons, just moving them around, and continuing to produce units, continuing to make probes, continuing to escalate my supply. And the ideal goal here is that you'll be able to do this level of making your army all while getting maxed in faster than probably 11 to 11:30. If you're Zerg, you will be a little bit slower because you do have to sacrifice a few drones to build buildings, so your max might be a smidge slower. But it shouldn't be dramatically different. And so again, I'm just keeping that army going around. I'm getting my gateways up. I'm keeping my money very low, trying not to let it stay much above 500 for any period of time. Above 1,000, you always want to try to get it down. If your money goes too high, just add more gateways or go expand. Just do something with your money. Don't let your money sit on 1,000 or especially 2,000 or 3,000 minerals. Spending it on anything is better than it just sitting there. But add more production, expand, tech, just do something with that money. That's like priority number 1 in Brood War before you do anything else. So again, you can see the armies is moving around. We're adding those gateways, making units. We're going up to our Arbiter tech. So we're just keeping everything going like a normal game, but making sure that our probes never stop and that we are maxing nice and fast. And once you have this down comfortably, you get to this level 3 variety of doing this over and over, and you do it for 20, 30 games pretty good, then you're ready to go online and put it into actual practice, and you will immediately notice you have way more stuff and your games are going way, way better. And it shouldn't take you long. Honestly, if you did this, you could jump 200, 300, 500 MMR points, depending on where you're starting from, in a month's worth of playing or less, maybe even 2 or 3 weeks if you did it a lot. So again, the steps: probes first. Phase 1 is just make probes. Make 3 nexuses as soon as you have money. Constant probes. Never let those nexuses stop flashing. Once you can do that, you're comfortable doing it. It doesn't feel hard. You no longer feel taxed. Then go to phase 2. You still make those probes, but now we make army the whole time, and we're trying to get to maximum supply, 200, 200, 199, 200, whatever, in the shortest time frame possible, which should be at 11:30 or less. And then phase 3 is we do the same thing, but now we're going to keep our army moving the whole time like I am here. It's always moving around. It's like you're moving it around fighting battles. And then once you can do this phase 3 comfortably, then you're ready to go to the ladder and really worry about your strategies, because now you're going to have enough units, the same amount of units as your opponent, and it's going to be more down to your strategy, and you're not just going to be get beaten by these guys that click way faster and just have more stuff than you, even though you're using a better strategy. So that is method number 1, the easiest, quickest way to get better at Brood War. I realize it's not super exciting. Playing against the PC is not fun, but if you want to improve fast, easily, and quickly, this is the #1 thing you can do to improve your play without a question. So I hope this helps you guys, and I will see you next time. As always, feel free to subscribe if you like the content.